Hi guys, I'm Joanne with Quiet Waters Farm and Craft. So I am getting started really early today. The kids just got on the bus. The husband's about ready to go to work here soon. So I am getting ready to make some tomato juice, which mainly is kind of like a vegetable juice, V8 juice. We can make that homemade. I've already made a video on pizza sauce. I am going to divvy up some of my tomato sauce to make some of that, but yeah, it's going to be a tomato kind of day. So we're making tomato juice and tomato sauce. So I will show you, this is only a start of all my tomatoes here. I have more that I put in the window. They were orange, not quite red over the weekend, so I'm going to pull all those out of my windows. I'm sure everybody that drives by sees, in the spring I had plants growing all in my windows. Now I have vegetables all in my windows, so yeah, it's just kind of a revolving trend in my windowsills of plants or veggies, which, maybe flowers one day, who knows. So I'm going to get started on getting all these diced up. When I get them in the pot, I will bring you back and show you what it looks like. Real quick before I get started on this, you're going to have some of your tomatoes that look kind of horrible like this. You are going to want to cut that out and not put that in your pot. I have to, I don't know, it just looks horrible. A little bit different. I mean, I have this bigger tomato. A lot of people will cut their cores out. I don't really see a point in it when I'm just basically going to be cutting them and just draining the juice and all the stuff off of them. Now, if it's got a big gouge like this on the bottom, I would cut this out. Like this here, this will have to go into compost. After you just check all your veggies like this, this would have to be cut off, this part here. You just kind of have to check all your veggies, but for the most part it's just slicing and dicing. You're going to be cooking this down anyway to make sauce and juice, and the stuff that we're going to take to make the sauce, it's going to be grinded up, so it's not even going to go in your sauce. So that's a whole lot of time that I feel is wasted if I sit here and cut out every single one of these cores when I really don't have to. So I just wanted to put that little tidbit in there. That's what I do. Now if you want to cut the cores out, that's completely up to you, but as for me, I don't. Hey guys. Alright, get my lid off there. Okay, so I have let this cook down for about 40 minutes. And I started right at the top here, and so it's cooked down this much in 40 minutes. So I'm going to have to get in here and get some juice out. Now I'm doing a 2-pot system. I'll kind of show you here. I have a big pot for all my tomatoes, and then I have a small pot that I'm going to, when I have liquid in here, I'm going to put it in here. Now I do have a strainer on top, so it's going to catch all my seeds because I don't want that in my tomato juice. So I'm just going to keep cooking these down, and when I get to the point where I can start taking out some juice, I'll show you that part here. I do have a lid that is covering it to where it helps cook it down a little bit more. Some people just leave the lids off and let it cook down that way, but I just keep my lid on there so that way it keeps it and steams it and mushes it down just a little bit more. So it's probably going to cook down for 2 to 3 hours because I pulled the rest of my tomatoes here out of the window, so I didn't even get half of them into my pot. So this is me chopping them up in quarters, and some even halves, and then 2 quarters again. So I will just let this cook down, so when I get to the point where I'm going to start draining juice, I will meet you back. So we are at our hour and 10-minute mark, and as you can see right down here, we have about a half a pot of juice. And see all those seeds in there? I'm just going to take this over here, and that way it drains all that out. Now I do have my temperature at low, and I have mine on a setting of 2, and this is what I've always had it on, was 2, and it doesn't burn any of my tomatoes. And I stir it about every 10 to 15 minutes. I just shove my big wooden spoon all the way in the bottom. This out here. And I just flip everything up to where I am. Just keep rotating, and I can't do this one-handed. I'm just rotating all the tomatoes so they don't burn and all that. So I'm going to get the rest of the juice out of here into this pot. I'm going to turn this on a low setting. I keep this on a 2 also, so that way it tries to drain some of the waters, because tomatoes have lots of water in them. And so yes, I do want water in my juice, but I don't want it to be completely full of juice. So I'm just going to keep going at this. Like I said, it's going to be a 2 or 3 hour process. So when I get about halfway done, I'll log back on and show you. We are at the 3 hour mark now. So I'm going to show you my pot here. There's some gushy stuff all in here. But this is all of my tomatoes. I waited till it got probably about right here, and I kept adding more tomatoes, stirring it, and kept adding tomatoes, draining it off. And I've almost got a whole entire pot of tomatoes, and this is still probably about right here of liquid that I'm waiting for this to go down so that way I can get the juice off. But I'm probably going to take this batch here, I'm going to let it finish cooking probably about another half hour, and then I'm going to start adding my veggies to this and start making this batch to be just regular V8 juice. And then when I go to do my next pot, I will probably do the spicy, which I'm going to see which one. I know I don't know which one's going to drink more. Probably my husband, he likes the spicy, so we might make the spicy one out of this whole pot. But this is 3 hours worth, and I am so excited. We have a whole pot almost of tomato juice, and we're still working on our tomato sauce. So once all this cooks down, and it's gonna have all this mushy goodness stuff that looks so nasty right now, but it's gonna turn out to be awesome tomato sauce. So I'm just gonna keep cooking it down and meet you back here soon. Okay, so with our tomato juice, I'll show you my tomato juice. We're almost at the whole pot here. Looks pretty fantabulous, I think so. So to this recipe, I don't have a juicer, so I'm probably going to take a cup of my tomato juice, and I'm going to blend it with my veggies so that way I can get it really blended up and put it in with my tomato juice. So I'm going to add 2 stalks of celery, 1 zucchini. I'm only going to add half of this squash, only because with my next batch, I'm going to put the other half in there. I'm going to do 2 carrots, or you can use a half a bag if you go to the store and buy it. And then I'm going to use about 4 stalks of kale. And then I don't have any fresh parsley, so I'm just going to use 2 tablespoons of dried parsley. So I'm going to get all this chopped up, and I will be back. I got all my veggies cut up here, and I took out 4 cups of my tomato juice out of my pot here, so that way I can get half of this mixed up with half of the juice in the blender. So I'm going to get everything switched over to the other side of the camera, and then I'll flip the camera around so you guys can see me getting it blended up. Alright, so we're going to add half of this in here, about 2 cups. Then I'm going to add my kale in here. Oopsie. And I'm just gonna grab some of this stuff and throw it in here. A little bit of everything. Okay. Oh, no, I just lost carrot. Okay, so I'll add the other half in just a few minutes. Alright, so I'm gonna get this blended up and I'll be back on. So I blended it up a little bit, probably about a minute. I actually filled this back up because I'm gonna add some more in there. So I have a little bit more liquid. Okay, I'm gonna blend her again. Okay, so that actually looks really good. I don't see any big pieces in there. I let this go for about a minute and a half. So I am going to probably fill this back up again out of my pot into here before I dump this into my pot. So I'm going to pour that in there. So I want to make sure that we don't have no big chunks. So I filled this up again. So I am going to pour this into my pot. Oh yeah. Alright, now we're going to go for number 2 round. A half of it in here. Probably just, I don't want to pour it all in there just in case it overflows. And then we're just going to add the rest of our veggies. Now if there's something else that you like, you are more than welcome to change it up. I've seen where people will add beets into there for more protein. You know, it's really whatever kind of vegetables you want, but this is what I'm going for. Alright, so I'm going to pause you so you don't have to listen to how loud this is, and I'll be back once I get it blended. Doesn't that look so pretty? Oh, it just looks pretty. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of parsley in here. And then I'm going to mix it up again so that way I don't have no chunks of parsley anywhere in my juice. Okay, I'm going to get this mixed up. Be right back. All the parsley's mixed in there, so now we're going to get our lid off here. Oh, wrong one. Figure it out. Okay, so I'm just going to spin you back over here so you can see to our delicious pot. I'm glad I didn't fill the pot completely up. It was a little bit farther down than that, so I'm glad that I did to where I could mix all of my veggies in here. Okay, so our V8 juice is all done. It looks so good. So I'm going to get this canned up so that way I can can it in a water bath canner. So I'm going to get this jarred up. Now I'm going to go ahead and do another batch, but I'm not going to videotape it, seeing how I just did. The only thing different that I'm going to add to this one is I'm going to add a couple peppers to this, and it's going to be some jalapenos for spice. Maybe and throw in a wax pepper. Not really sure yet, but I'll let you know. So I'm going to get to getting this jarred up and getting my other juice in this pot so that way, because it's getting pretty full over there, and I'll meet you back. Hey guys, I'm back. So we got, what are those? 3 half-gallon jars of V8 juice. 2 half-gallons are regular, and then I did 1 half-gallon of the spicy, and I also got 2 pints of spicy. So my husband and daughter will be so excited about these. I have to get those in the canner still. I've actually got that warming up. So now what we're going to work on is our pot of mushy tomatoes. Now I am using a juice mate, this little guy here. I got him at Goodwill, Goodwill shopper here to save money. It was $6.99. I got it on the half off day, and so I only paid $3 for it. The only thing it didn't come with was this little funnel guy here, so I just use my funnel I use when I can, which is this guy. It works out just fine. So if you guys find one at Goodwill, mine did not come with instructions, so I actually had to Google how to put it all together. I had it pretty well together when I bought it just by looking at the picture. So if you need me to post on how to put this all together, just put that down in the comment section. I'll be happy to make a video so you guys know how to put it all together. So I am going to get this thing together and I will be right back. Alright, I have my little machine all set up here. So this is where we're going to put everything in there, and there's a little machine that you twist by hand crank. Goes through there, goes through this funnel here, and then it spits out all the juice here, and then your compost will come out through this end here. So I'll give you a little tutorial. Here is my pot of mashed tomatoes. Okay. Get a little bit closer here so you can see all the good stuff. Okay. So I still have some juice in here, so I'm going to have to get that out, but we're just going to take our tomato slop and we're just going to throw it in here. Now if you don't cook it and you just want to make tomato juice, which I don't recommend, I recommend cooking it down because it's a lot easier to get in here up in your funnel, and it goes so much smoother. You don't have so much waste building up in here because there's a big strainer in here is what it is, because you have the orange piece and there's a metal piece, that's the strainer, and then this plastic piece that goes over it. So we're just gonna start cranking, and it's gonna start releasing the tomato sauce that we want. We're just gonna keep adding. And for the most part, I don't have to use my little guy here just to jam all this down in here, because with it being warm and hot, it's ready to gush. You just seen compost come out there. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to crank out the whole pot, and then when I get the whole pot done, I might have to empty my bowl into my juice pot that I had, or I'll have to get out another pot, which I hope I don't have to, so I don't have to dirty up another dish. But when it gets done, I will come back so we can see how much compost we have left, and then we're actually going to do this again, so that way we get everything out of these tomatoes we possibly can before we go and feed these to the animals. Okay, so I will be back. So after we got our pot done, we did the compost. So here's what we have, and I'm actually going to stick this back up in here again and see how much more juice or sauce we get. And I actually got 2 big bowls full, so I will spin over here quite slowly. I don't want to go too fast, but I ended up having to pull out another pot here, but it's almost full, so I'm sure once we get the compost through it again, it'll probably be all the way up to the rim. So yay, so excited. My canner is ready to go, so I'm going to get my V8 juice in the canner for 35 minutes. So I'll meet you back. are down to half compost. So this is just going to go to my animals to feed them. So I had 2 pots and then I had this left. So I'm going to scooch in a little bit closer here. Too close. Back up a little bit. Okay. Now, when I break this apart, I'm going to put this right here because behind this is a strainer, and on the outside of the strainer, in between the strainer and this plastic piece, is going to be crushed tomatoes, and it's the part of the tomato we want to keep. So I'm going to unscrew this, and I'm going to slide this off very easily because I don't want to lose any of that. I always have, when I get done with my big giant green pot, I fill it full of hot water, so that way when I start breaking this thing down and scraping everything off, I can just get into that hot water and it's not going to stick to anything, especially this strainer here. So I'm going to show you a little bit up close here what this looks like. And we want to save all of this, so I am going to get that scraped off there into my pot. And this is your tomato paste. So if you are doing tomato paste too, this would be a great thing to do because your tomato paste only comes in the little teeny like 4-ounce jars or cans, I guess, but you could actually save this for tomato paste. So it's really up to you what you want to do with it. I just put it into my tomato sauce to help make it thicker, to kind of balance out the juice that's going to be in my pot with the tomato sauce. Because when I start doing this part and I get my first bowl of tomato sauce, I go ahead and I turn on my stove because this takes me about a half hour to get all this done. And so I want to try to cook off as much juice as possible since we're making sauce. Okay, I think I got it all. Now, we're going to move this out of our way, and we're going to move in our compost bowl here, because behind this is this orange piece that is our spinner. So behind this is going to be more of this stuff here. We're going to unscrew this a little bit, just where we can slide this off, and I will show you. So when I pop this guy off here, see, really isn't that much in there, but this is what is in it. It is all of our compost that we don't want. It's your seeds and your skins. So you're just going to take your little spatula and you're just going to get it off there, is all we're going to do. So it's more compost is what that is. So this is one easy way. Well, like I said before, if you want to just, do this part and not the juice, that's completely up to you. And that's what I kind of first started out doing. And when I started watching more videos, mainly on YouTube, of how I could get more out of my tomatoes, I found that if you cook them down, you can drain the juice off of it, and then you also have where you're getting your tomato sauce, so you're getting a 2-for-1 deal, which is what you want to do, because you're getting the most of it, and you want to get the most for your family, to where you're not having to spend that extra money or go to the store when it's all right here, and you don't have to go nowhere. So I am going to get my tomato sauce paste, the last of it, into my bowl, or my pot, and I'm going to let it cook for about 20 minutes, only because I want to try to cook the juice off what I just did. So after that 20 minutes, I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like. So I got 3 jars of tomato sauce. The rest I did 8 cups of pizza sauce. So if you haven't seen my pizza sauce recipe, please check that video out. It was my first time making it. It tasted absolutely wonderful. We ended up making pizzas that night and they tasted great. Oh my goodness, they were just so good. So with this, I'm just going to get my rings wiped off, and then I'm going to get my lids and my rings on there. I'm waiting for the vegetable juice to come out, the V8 juice. Let's see here. I have the spicy in there right now, so I had 2 of those, which is I only put 1 of them and the 2 pint jars in there. This is my pizza sauce, and it looks so yummy. I'm getting ready to cut up all the things I need to put in there. But for having 8 cups of pizza sauce and 3 pints of tomato sauce, then we had veggie juice. Oh, it's just a great day. So I'm going to get these wiped off and get the lids on them, and I'll meet you back. Well, here is our finished product. We have 3 jars of tomato sauce, we have 2 pints and 1/2 gallon of spicy tomato juice, and then we have 2 half gallons, which I filled those all 3/4 of the way up, but after it cooked down with the water that I was talking about, we actually got less. But for today's work, this is what we've got, and it's more food for our family, more drinks for our family. So overall, I'm very happy with this. So I hope that you've liked all these videos. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Y'all have a blessed day.